Hello, and welcome to another episode of the SAP Samples Spotlight series. Today, our guest is SAP Senior Product Manager, Archana Shukla. Hello, Archana.
Hello, Brian, and thank you for inviting me to this spotlight session. I'm humbled.
Absolutely. We also have DJ Adams, and together we'll be taking a look at a collection of workflow sample applications. Shall we?
Let's do it. So thanks, Brian, and welcome from my side also, Arjuna. Super happy to have you here. I'm a big fan of yours and also all the stuff that you do in this area and the rest of your team as well. So we've got this repo. Let me make it one bigger. Why not? We've got this repo, Cloud Workflow Samples. So that already tells me three things that are really nice to know. First of all, this is to do with SAP's cloud technologies, business technology platform. It's to do with workflow, a subject close to my heart, and it contains stuff that I can use as samples. So already off to a great start. So why don't we start by you, Archana, telling us just a little bit in general about what this repo is for.
Yeah, okay. So, DJ, so workflow is actually one of the capabilities of SAP Workflow Management. And this sample repository basically caters to different use cases of workflows and shows how to use workflow and configure its different activities like service tasks, user tasks, or email tasks, and so on. So, I mean, we created this repository long time ago during the Neo days, and now therefore, in this repository, you will see the use cases that we have are both for Neo as well as for the Cloud Foundry samples. And coming specifically to workflow capabilities, so workflow as such is a way as which we are providing for process automation, for orchestration, for any kind of extension and embedded needs wherever it is in SAP BTP.
Perfect. I mean, you mentioned this repo was created a long time ago, and I'm thinking a long time ago, and my mind is immediately cast back to SAP R3, and of course I'm thinking of business workflow, but that's not what this is all about, right? I see here, for example, extending processes in all these different SAP products, or the entire intelligent suite, right?
Yeah, so extension is one of the key factor of workflow capability in workflow management, and so therefore you see these different LOBs. So workflow already exists in all these LOBs, but wherever there's a need of customization and extension is where we recommend that you of using workflows capability in SAP workflow management in SAP BTP environment.
Perfect. So I guess you can think about sort of workflow within one of those systems is, that's intra-system workflow, like for example, business workflow in the ABAP stack R3 systems. But this really is intra-system workflow. So I've been successfully using SAP workflow to communicate between humans and systems and processes and backend APIs. That's what this is all about, right?
Yeah, so workflow is also user centric. So I mean, apart from extensions, wherever you are looking forward to an interaction with the end user, so you use workflow capability.
Perfect. So you mentioned, this has been around for a while, and I do remember these first two samples here. I mean, there's a ton of stuff that's available, but I think the focus here in this README is looking at four main samples. It fits perfectly on my screen, which is quite nice as well. So there are four key samples, and I think these two have been around for a while. I think these two are Neo. So I'm gonna jump. I'm gonna pick one. I'm gonna pick one randomly. Integrate SAP workflow with Microsoft Outlook. That sounds quite exciting. And where we're taken to is a directory within this repo, right? So we've got different directories with different samples for different scenarios. And I can see that the scenario is sort of nicely laid out from a solution diagram perspective here. So before we even start, so can you maybe talk us through this particular sample, what this sample is doing for us?
Yeah, okay. So this sample is all about integrating workflow with Microsoft Outlook. So the idea was to bring this sample up is like how we are integrating workflows with Microsoft Outlook, especially when it is to send email notifications about the new task to the recipients, and which are configured as part of the user task in the workflow. So here, what this content will do is it will help you set up this whole Microsoft Outlook configurations. It also has a workflow which you can do set up, and you can see how you can directly complete the task in your workflow, and especially directly from the Microsoft Outlook without having to leave the email client, which is like most preferred email client whenever it comes with the Outlook.
Exactly. So, so on the left hand side we've got the requester. On the right hand side we've got the approver who is approving the request, but they're approving it from the comfort of their email client, right? That's the whole idea.
Yeah.
And I think the key thing that strikes me here is that most of the heavy lifting, in fact, nearly all of the heavy lifting is being done by SAP Workflow. So all the blue numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on, these I'm guessing are the activities, the actual component parts that are being performed within the context of the workflow definition that's supplied as part of this sample, right? So we've got number 1, get list of changed tasks, and then number 2. Well, in fact, it says over there as well. In fact, let me just move that down a bit so we can see probably below our faces. Get list of changed tasks. For each changed task, get task data and form. So all these things that are happening here are being orchestrated by the mechanics that are described by the workflow definition. Is that generally the right direction of thinking here?
Yeah, so that's what it is doing. So I mean, it has a custom Java application that you can see, and which is basically it's also using adaptive cards of Microsoft, and this
Nice.
whole
Mhm.
yeah, and this whole resource actually comes with these adaptive class cards plus workflow, and as you said, all this interactions between the Java apps and the portal and adaptive card is being taken care of by the workflow.
Because the workflow mechanism itself has different services, right? So it's a mail service to send mail. It's got a service, a mail task, a service task, so you can interact with backend APIs and so on,
Yeah.
as well as sort of other things as well. It's also got decision points and loops and timeouts and all that sort of good stuff that you need to build a solution as involved as this, right?
Yeah, so I mean, these are different BPMN 2.0 based models that are available in workflow, and you can model workflows from Business Application Studio, where you get these library
Mhm.
of activities, and through which you can, as you said, it has a user task, it has a service task to connect to any services, which are OData or REST API user tasks, which means if you want to give an interaction point to
Mhm.
your end users from
And
where they
that's
can.
through the portal, right? Through the standard inbox
Yes,
in the portal. Yeah.
correct. So this is an old figure. I mean, but yeah, portal is still existing, and you can also use Launchpad.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can have this in the inbox in the portal or Launchpad, from where your end users can log in into their inboxes, and they can process the task, which could be like approving a task or claiming something, and so on and so forth.
So that's quite a complex scenario, but and even if I don't want to use a particular part of it, I want to swap out one part and replace it with another. This sounds to me like a really good starting point if I want to build my own workflow-based solution. So maybe if just stare at these files and directories for a second, just to understand what sort of stuff we get here. I can see, for example, we've got a POM XML, so that I'm guessing is part of the Java app that's in this diagram here. So you're supplying this custom Java with the whole sample, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And we've got the manifest for the deployment, and we've also somewhere, is it in here? We've got the adaptive cards for the app for the Office 365, and I'm guessing also somewhere we've got the workflow definition itself, right?
Yeah, so this zip that you see, or a spare parts process zip, this is actually the workflow that you can download, and you can just directly import from your business application studio.
Fantastic. So this might be a really good sample that folks can start with, even if they don't do all of the steps here, even just to bring it into the business application studio, right, and have a look at the pieces to understand how they fit together. That's what I would be doing next. I want to grab this and import it and start, kicking it around and understanding, the ins and outs of it. Before we wrap up, is there anything that you would want to say in terms of, next steps or even first steps for folks coming to this repo?
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, if you are completely new to workflow as such, so there are also samples which are very basic ones, like the one you see, CF onboarding sample. DJ, if you go a
Oh,
few levels up, yeah, this one. Yeah, so this is very basic. That teaches you all the aspects of workflow. You can directly import it.
mm-hmm.
And this is also part of the getting started tutorial where you can utilize this sample. So first step is, if you are new, start with something very simple like this one. And yeah, if you are then looking for advanced options, like you want to extend your workflows, you're looking for samples like that, you want to embed your workflows in your existing solutions, then you can go along with these advanced samples as well. Like you saw just now, we were talking about the one with the Microsoft Outlook, and then we also have this the application interface framework based samples, which just shows if there are any errors occurring. So SAP interface framework is actually a framework or a solution that simplifies the implementation and monitoring of the interfaces. And here the workflow application is being used to whenever an error occurs in your whole implementation setup, then a workflow is being started, and the end users get this whole view of these error logs which are coming from SAP application interface, which is an S4HANA based solution. So yeah, so these are advanced samples. As I said, start with simple samples and then go with the advanced sample depending upon what your need is, whether you're looking for orchestrations, extensions, automations, or embedded.
Perfect. That sounds great. And yeah, one thing to reiterate really is, start with the simple samples, but also don't be don't resist the more complex ones. You don't have to get them running. You just load them into the business application studio and have a look at them and be inspired. So brilliant. So thanks so much for maintaining this for all this time and sharing this with us today, Archana. I'll sign off for now and just leave the final words to Brian.
I ditto what DJ said. I appreciate these contributions and all this great work. So thank you for that. And I would urge others to check it out on github.com/SAP Samples. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye, folks.